So, just how good is a watch that is the best homage to the Rolex Submariner on its own? What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here with Ginault Ocean-Rover. Let's go take a closer look. Let's go. And here is Ginault Ocean-Rover. It's in 40 millimeters, 47 millimeters from lug to lug, 13.5 millimeters tall, and with a 20 millimeter lug width that tapers down to what looks to be about 18 millimeters to a nice double clasp bracelet. A really nice clasp right here, though I wouldn't mind seeing some of the Ginault branding on the clasp here. And I think the Ocean-Rover has to be one of the best homages to this guy right here. And I'm not talking about their similarities or how, in their looks. I'm talking about build quality, because the build quality on the Ocean-Rover is exceptional. And they put a lot of details on the watch, including the crown. And the crown isn't something that we generally talk about. It's nestled in between the nice crown guards, but it sticks out just enough to give us some really easy grip. It's just easy, really easy to pull out. That's just another really nice thought. And Ginault did put their branding on the crown right there, which is why I think it's lacking on the clasp. The dial on the Ocean-Rover is absolutely stunning. It's done in a really nicely lacquered black finishing here, and its indices are applied and filled with this gold sand, providing a really strong and long-lasting lume. And of course, the bezel action is as sweet as they get. Really smooth, really nice on its unidirectional 120 click bezel. It is as nice as they come and just extraordinarily well made. And you're probably going to hear me say that throughout the video, because the quality of this watch is just, it's exceptional. This isn't the first time, I'm sure, that we're hearing this, and I have to echo the same sentiment that a lot of people are saying about the Ocean-Rover's quality. The bracelet on the Ocean-Rover is an excellent one, and we can see its nice frosted finishing there between the clasp, and we can see also how well made this bracelet is, and it is fully adjustable. And if I'm going to compare the Oyster bracelet of the Ocean-Rover to my Rolex Oyster bracelet, I would have to say, dare I say it? Do it. It is actually just as well made as my Rolex Oyster bracelet. The polished and brushed finishing on the Ocean-Rover is quite excellent. Its brushed finishing has a really nice silky feel to it, though I wouldn't say that the finishing on the Ocean-Rover is necessarily better than a lot of the other watches. Is that a shortcoming? No, not necessarily, and I think that's because the real star of the Ocean-Rover is how well made it is. That otherwise the really excellent finishing, and as we can tell here, would stand out a lot more, but it's competing against itself with just how superior its build quality is to an otherwise really strong finishing. On the dial below 6 o'clock, it says hand built in America, and that's because it is. And they also use an in-house caliber 7275 movement. And though it is not COSC certified, they do regulate the movement internally, and it comes with this certificate over a 6-week period. And here we can see that the watch is supposed to have 38 hours of power reserve, but this particular model passed with 43 hours of power reserve. And it looks like the final measurement date was October 21st, 2018. So it is really nice to see that the movement has been regulated, and it comes with this official certificate. It is really easy to sing the praises on the quality of this watch, and the retail price of the Ocean-Rover is $1,400. But they do have a 20% off discount on their website, which brings it down to a little over $1,100. And for that amount, yes, that's a lot of money, especially for an homage. And our choices are pretty much open to a lot of other watches. So if we want a well-made everyday watch that looks like the Submariner or reminds us of the Submariner, then I think the Ocean-Rover is a great watch for our consideration. I also think that this is one of the special watches that, even though I think it's fair to say that we might have been interested or bought this watch because of the watch that it reminds us of, I think because of how well made this watch is, we tend to forget about the Submariner, because this becomes a stand-alone watch because of its superior quality. It is not strictly a copycat watch with an average build quality, and I think that reason really makes it stand out on its own to where we start to see the watch for what it is, which is a really well-made, exceptionally made, handsome everyday watch. If we're looking for a really sharp, well-made everyday diver's watch, whether it's a micro brand or from a mainstream brand, there's going to be a great likelihood that there's going to be the inevitable comparisons to the Rolex Submariner or even Blancpain's 50 Fathoms, because all divers watches are going to share some characteristics. But at this price point or even above, I think it's going to be very difficult to find a watch that is better made than the Ocean-Rover. And to me, that makes the Ocean-Rover really stand out, and it's definitely worth our consideration. I think this is a great time for some wrist shots, and I'll be right back, and Mickey will keep you company. I can see some parallels between Ginault's Ocean-Rover and Tudor's Black Bay, especially among the Rolex diehards who can refer to Tudor's Black Bay as a poor man's Rolex. And unlike Tudor, which is owned by Rolex, Ginault is not. So while we may not hear that same negative sentiment, we might hear some other similar negative thoughts. But I might even go as far as to say that I actually prefer Ginault's Ocean-Rover to Tudor's Black Bay, at least aesthetically. I find the Ocean-Rover's polished and brushed finishing more of my preference to Tudor's matte finishing. And if we're going to spend $1,000 on an Homage watch, I think that kind of concern is going to be inevitable, and it will cross the back of our minds. And if we're okay with that, I think we're going to be very happy with the Ocean-Rover. And we're back with some final thoughts on the Ocean-Rover. And one of the most important lessons I've learned, and not through watches, but through life, is to keep an open mind. And I've applied that to watches, and especially to the Ocean-Rover. I am generally not a fan of Homage watches, and I say generally because that's my out. I put an asterisk next to it because there are always exceptions, and I think the Ocean-Rover is one of them. So even if we are haters, though that is a strong word, and we're looking for flaws, something to attack the watch, and by the way, even though I said I wouldn't mind the branding on the clasp, that's not necessarily a flaw, but perhaps more of a preference. So if we are hating on the watch because some of us will refuse to accept an Homage and we can't find the flaws on its build quality or its finishing, we might desperately reach for the movement and chirp and say something like, well, I just wish it had its own in-house movement, even though we know that's not usually realistic for watches at this price point. So I think this is where Ginault beat the haters to the punch, by having a really thorough checklist and then going over it again with a fine-tooth comb, and then going over it again with another fine-tooth comb, not giving haters anywhere to go. We watch fans often say or think that the hardest part of the watchmaking process is its build quality, its finishing, and the movement. Well, if that's true, then I think Ginault has that locked down, because they've clearly proven they can make an excellent watch with their own movement. Which means I am really looking forward to Ginault's future original creations. And I also think the Ocean-Rover is more than just a stepping stone. I think it is a strong resume that will garner Ginault a lot of attention from even the most skeptical watch fans. Can Ginault eventually move away from being known as an Homage watch company if they want to? Yes, but it will also depend on their future original designs. And having one Homage in their lineup isn't a bad thing. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you the next time. The Ocean-Rover is 40... Good job, Rich. The Ocean-Rover is... And we're... having your phone on vibrate during filming isn't always the best idea. Just turn it off completely. I also think their Range Rovers are one of the best... Did I say Range Rovers? I think the Ocean-Rovers... Though I do really like the Range Rovers, but we're talking Ocean-Rover.